If you're still betting on Instagram to grow your business, this episode might change your mind. I am Jillian Leslie, host of The Blogger Genius and co-founder of MiloTree, the most cost-effective and easiest way to grow your business online. Whether you're looking to sell digital products, grow your email list with lead magnets, or increase your social media followers, MiloTree makes it simple. So head to milotree.com to find out more. Now, let's talk about LinkedIn. If you're a coach, service provider, content creator, or blogger who wants to build authority, connect with decision makers, and attract high quality customers and clients, this episode is for you. My guest today is Scott Aaron. He is a top LinkedIn expert. He breaks down exactly why LinkedIn is the platform to focus on if you're serious about growth, and how most people are missing the opportunity because they don't understand how to use it. In this episode, we cover why LinkedIn gives you visibility with buyers who can actually afford what you're selling, how to structure your profile to convert views into leads, Scott's system for turning one LinkedIn Live into 84 pieces of content that he can share across multiple platforms. So if you're sleeping on LinkedIn, it is time to wake up. So let's jump in. Scott, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jillian. Grateful to be here.
I want to start with something controversial. Why would you put your money on LinkedIn and not put your money on Instagram to grow your business?
I would answer that with three glaring statistics. So number one, I'm a metric person and I'm a numbers guy. That's what I love. I love facts. So the fact is the average income that someone makes on Meta, and that's Facebook and Instagram, but under $30,000 or less. On LinkedIn, it's between $75,000 to $100,000 a year or more. So when you're talking about an upper echelon of primed buyers, people that can actually afford what you're offering, how many times for the people that are listening and watching have you heard, I would love to work with you, but I would love to buy that, but, and the but is I can't afford it. Right? Or I got to wait till next month, or I got to go talk to the dog catcher, the person down the street, my neighbor, my family, my friend to get third-party approval. So that's one thing. You're getting pre-prime buyers and people that can actually afford and see the value of what you're offering. Number two, 88% of people on LinkedIn are in a decision-making role. So there's 1 billion plus people on LinkedIn. 88% of them are in some sort of decision-making role from either a consumer, a customer, client standpoint. So you're putting yourself on a platform where people are on there to make business monetary decisions. They're not on there to share the pictures of going skiing or what they ate for breakfast or the great sweat they got at their workout earlier. That's the other platforms. This is for business decisions. It's for education and information. And I would say the third and final stat is only 1% of the LinkedIn population creates one post or more per week on the platform, which means 99% of the people on LinkedIn are what my wife and I call silent engagers. Now, they may be liking and commenting, they may be liking, commenting, and resharing, or they just may be scrolling through, reading, and moving on to the next thing. If you look at those numbers compared to the other platforms, LinkedIn, from a visibility standpoint, blows them out of the water. Because if you think about the percentage of people that are creating content every day on Meta or TikTok or YouTube, it's a landslide. There is no greater opportunity for visibility and business growth than right now on LinkedIn. You just have to know how to use it.
Okay, blogger or parenting coach are my people on LinkedIn?
So as far as coaches, I would say, yeah, any coach has a space on there. Bloggers, absolutely. Because if it's something that people are interested in from either a personal or professional standpoint, as long as you're giving people an avenue to travel down where they're educated, they're informed, and they're more well equipped after either reading something that you've posted, they are more well informed after watching a video that you've done, you have a home on LinkedIn. Now, if you're looking to use LinkedIn from an e-commerce standpoint, I would say absolutely not. Anyone that's in e-commerce, that's better for e-commerce platforms like TikTok Shop Instagram shop, all the other stuff. But if you're looking to position yourself as the expert in the space that you're in, either from a personal or professional space, there is a home for you on LinkedIn.
So if I monetize or want to monetize my content and expertise, what you're saying is there is a place on LinkedIn for me.
Yes.
Even if it's not business.
Well, people are interested in a lot of different things on LinkedIn. And this is a really good point. So there's a lot of things that people do, even from a professional standpoint, that are very, I would say, close to the chest. So what I mean, money. No one likes talking about money, at least outwardly, right? People that are going through divorce or struggles in relationships. If you go on LinkedIn, there's a lot of relationship coaches, right? So the audience that they're building, you can't see the impact that they're having just by the content they're producing. They're getting direct messages every day. Thank you for your content. Can I talk to you about how you can help someone like me? So there's only so much that you can see from a visual standpoint on the front end side of LinkedIn. A lot of the magic happens on the back end where people can't see it. So when you're educating and you're informing people, even if you are a food blogger, right, that is of a big interest to a lot of business professionals. So if you think about what business professionals struggle most with, time for anything. And that comes to time for cooking, right? Time for learning how to eat healthy. So and that's actually how I got started on LinkedIn. I was in the health and wellness industry prior. I was in the fitness industry for 16 years. I had gyms. I was a sports nutritionist. So I got started on LinkedIn by actually helping people, business professionals, because that was my core demographic in person, online fitness tips, online nutrition tips. So I was bringing all that to the platform because I found that not only were the in-person clients that I had really finding value in what I was sharing, but also the online connections that I was making on LinkedIn. These business professionals were just like my clients in person. I just needed to work with them online.
Right. So like, for example, if you're a dog trainer, guess what? Business professionals get dogs and they want to train their dogs.
Absolutely. I mean, again, going back to something that I said a few minutes ago, it doesn't matter what you do and what your passion is. It's making sure that when you show up on LinkedIn, you're educating people and you're informing them. As long as you're putting yourself in that sidecar of being a reputable source and a go-to person, or someone that they know, like, and trust based on what they see, what they hear, what they read, there's a space for you on the platform.
Okay, so therefore, let's say I've grown my TikTok by dancing. I should not put my dancing content on LinkedIn to just entertain. Maybe I teach dance and then I can break something down because that mom, whatever, professional, like wants to teach her daughter a dance. But if it's just, hey, look at me dancing, isn't this cool? That's not going to work.
Then LinkedIn is not the easy button. You can cross-post to Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, if you're dancing, pointing, and doing whatever you're doing. That is not for LinkedIn. And I think this is where people get lazy. Like sometimes people fall into that entrepreneur lazy methodology. I'm just going to click the post to all button and hope and pray that it lands in front of the right people. LinkedIn works best when you have 100% intention behind everything that you do. The intention of how you're setting up your profile from an SEO standpoint, the intention of who you're connecting with from an ideal client or business ally standpoint, intention when you're messaging people the right way, not pitch slapping them or spamming them with really 18 paragraph long drunkalog verbal vomit messages, but also with content, having the intention of how is this going to leave them better? Is by me pointing around the screen and dancing and doing whatever I'm doing, is that going to help my audience or is that going to hurt my audience? And again, I think right now people have gotten really addicted to the vanity metrics of social media. They feel that if I can get the most likes, the most comments, the most views, that is going to be something that can monetize right away. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Some of the most successful people out there don't get anywhere near the numbers as some of the people on all the platforms do, but they are widely more successful because it's not what you can monetize on LinkedIn from a vanity metric standpoint. A lot of the monetization happens off the platform. when people subscribe to your newsletter, when people click on your lead magnet on your profile or your featured content section, or whatever you're leading people to. I said this a little bit earlier in the episode. A lot of the success that is happening on LinkedIn happens behind closed doors, not as soon as you walk into the restaurant.
So tell me if this is true. LinkedIn is about putting out helpful content. And then let's say I put something out, you see it, and you go, hey, I like what she's saying. Who is this Jillian Leslie? I'm going to click on her profile. I'm going to then end up on her profile, which is like my, let's say, resume, which it is, but it's more than that because I've got those special sections that highlight who I am, and maybe it highlights my lead magnet or a link to my podcast so that you get curious, but it's not that you see a post that I've posted on LinkedIn that's a little clickbaity, that you now have to click off the platform to go consume my content. It's much more like I'm just here providing value. You want to learn more about me because you think what I'm saying is interesting, go find that out on my profile.
Yeah.
So is that true? Meaning, should I be putting links in my posts and saying, go check this out, whatever? Or
so I'll say two things. Number one, do not ever set your profile up on LinkedIn like a resume. It is not monster.com. That's how things were back in the day. LinkedIn is where people are looking to highlight and showcase their expertise. So as far as like the link question, you should have areas on your LinkedIn profile where people can click to find out more. So every person on LinkedIn, whether you have the free account or paid, there's an area in the top part of your headline where you can add a clickable link. You don't want to just put a link. You want to add link text, because if you just put the hyperlink to whatever you're putting in there, people are going to be like, what the hell's that link anyway? It could be visit my website, or download my free gift, or listen to my podcast, or check this out, whatever it is, sign up for my workshop. Also, the featured content section, you can also put aspects of your links in there, whether it's a calendar link. You can put a website in there. You can put your podcast on there. If you have a book to sell, you can add your book there that you can drive traffic to Amazon or wherever you have it published. As far as links in your post, I believe in calls to action, CTAs, because you have to ask in order to get, right? If you don't end with a question, you don't get an answer. Now, I never, ever recommend putting links in the content, because just like a lot of social platforms, and this is very widely known, and if you don't know this, you're going to know now, most social platforms do not like external links in the body of their content that takes people off of the platform and takes them somewhere else. Now, if you wanted to drop a link in the comment section of your post, that is completely fine. What you should have in the body of any of your posts is a call to action to engage. So if anyone follows my content on LinkedIn, it's always, what were your biggest takeaways from this post?
Wait, I just want to stop you there, Scott, because we haven't even introduced you, and I will before, in an intro, but who are you and how can I find you on LinkedIn? So as I'm listening to this, I can go see what you're doing.
Yeah. So if you just go onto LinkedIn and search Scott Aaron Coach or Scott Aaron LinkedIn Coach, you'll find me. I've been teaching and consulting small and mid-sized companies, but also individual coaches, consultants, and service professionals since 2013, how to build out their marketing and sales system leveraging LinkedIn while building their personal brand. And it's a very, very simple process. It's done by hand because LinkedIn does not support automation. They do not support third-party, unapproved tools that scrape data. If you need to spend about 20 to 30 minutes of your time each day on LinkedIn to actually have it work, but give yourself between 9 to 12 months to truly see the full spectrum and scope of what you're going to succeed. It's not a quick fix. If you're looking for quick results, LinkedIn is not the platform for you. If you're looking for an insurance policy or a 401k plan, that's your LinkedIn. It's your retirement. If you put daily little touch points and you put daily actions into place, those things will compound over time, creating the wealth that you're looking for when using LinkedIn.
Okay, so back to what you were saying. In your posts, you want to ask questions, my hunch is engage, get conversations going.
That is what LinkedIn rewards people most for. If you want to create more visibility on LinkedIn, they want to see that there is engagement going on in the commentary of your post. They don't care how many people are liking it. They want to see banter back and forth. So I have a very, very simple strategy outside of just asking a question. You need to do three things. You need to ask, you need to acknowledge, engage, and ask. So what does that mean? So say I put a post out there and Jillian goes to my post and says, oh, Scott, this was great. Thanks for sharing. I would engage. So I would like her comment, love her comment, support her comment, and then I would acknowledge, right? I would hit the reply button, which would automatically tag her. And I would say, you are so welcome, comma, and then I would ask, what was your biggest takeaway from this post? So the last thing that Jillian is going to see is a question mark, which is going to prompt a response. She'll say, my biggest takeaway was blah, 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 blah. And
right.
then I'll reply back, that's great. I'm glad you found so much value in it. Now, just from that little banter back and forth, there's 4 comments, which means LinkedIn is going to pick up on that engagement. It's going to pick up on that activity, which means LinkedIn is going to show it to more people to create more engagement, to create more conversation and more visibility.
I love that. Okay. The thing that we talked about, because I was just on your podcast, and we talked about the value of your email list.
Yes.
That the rest is, as you say, and I agree with you, it's all rented land. Therefore, what is your best strategy of getting people to see you on LinkedIn, to see you as an expert and to say, I want to join your list?
So there's 3 things. So number 1, I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier. Every single person on LinkedIn should have at least 2 clickable links on your LinkedIn profile. The first being in the headline section. So it'll have your name, where you're from, contact info, and then it'll say there'll be a link there where you can add link and text. So if you want more calls being booked, you're going to put your calendar link and you'll have book a free call. If you want more podcast listens, check out my podcast here. If you want more just website traffic where you have a pop-up for a free download that collects their emails, visit my website here. And then obviously there's a featured content section where you can have another clickable link. So it could be a lead magnet, your podcast, website, calendar, whatever it is. The second thing is making sure that you have your LinkedIn newsletter in place. Now, this is a sub feature of LinkedIn. So you can write articles, but you can also create a LinkedIn newsletter. So at the time that we're recording this, I'm about 50 subscribers away from 10,000 subscribers of my LinkedIn newsletter. Yeah. And here's the cool thing. So LinkedIn, when you actually create your first LinkedIn newsletter edition and you push it out to the ethos of LinkedIn, they actually invite every single first connection to subscribe to your newsletter. So after you publish it, they send a notification saying, hey, Jillian, subscribe to XYZ's newsletter. They just published their first edition. So overnight, you're going to have hundreds. If you have I had a lot of connections going into it. So I would say within 72 hours, I already had 1,500 subscribers of my newsletter like that. Now, the other cool thing is if you're building a consistent network on LinkedIn, which you're allowed, you can send 100 connection requests a week without getting in trouble. Anytime someone accepts your connection request, they get an auto invitation right after that to subscribe to your newsletter. So LinkedIn will help you grow your newsletter on top of sending out 2 notifications. So anytime after your first newsletter edition, you produce another one, and I suggest either weekly or bi-weekly, LinkedIn sends a notification in the little notification bell section on LinkedIn that you've just released a new newsletter edition. But also, if people have opted in for email communication from LinkedIn themselves, LinkedIn will email every single subscriber on your behalf your newsletter edition. So on average, I think half of my subscribers subscribe to email notifications through LinkedIn. So LinkedIn emails 5,000 people every week for me. And it even shows me the open rate. So I can see my open rate right now is between 30 and 42% of the emails that LinkedIn actually sends out. But here's where the magic happens. In the body of your newsletter editions, you can add hyperlinks to the bottom of your newsletter. So at the end of every single newsletter that I write, you will always find a call to action. If we're in promotion mode, like we're promoting a course or a product or a service that we have, we usually lead with a free workshop that leads into an upsell during the workshop. So right now we're in promotion mode of a free workshop called the Scale Your Business on LinkedIn workshop, right? So at the end of that newsletter, it's going to say, did you sign up for my free LinkedIn workshop yet? If not, here's the link to do so. So not only is that getting pushed out to every single subscriber on LinkedIn, it's being emailed out to the 5,000 people that LinkedIn's doing that for me. So they click on that link, takes them right to the landing page, name and email.
Wow, I need to start doing this. Now here's the thing.
Now I've collected their email.
I send a newsletter every week to my list through MailerLite. Should this be the same content, different content? What should I do?
Same content. Don't reinvent the wheel, because the connections that you have on LinkedIn are different from the connections that you have within your MailerLite email list. So I do the same thing. I send my email list a snippet of my LinkedIn newsletter. I send probably the first like 2 paragraphs, and I'll say, check out the rest here. Or if it's a blog,
check out
same
the rest
thing.
here where? On LinkedIn?
Yep.
And
so
you can link to the newsletter?
You can. So for each individual LinkedIn newsletter, there is a custom URL that you can embed in the body of any email communication you want through whatever ESP that you're using, email service provider. So I always put it in there. So it always redirects my list back to LinkedIn. And if they haven't subscribed, now they can. So they're still getting a snippet and they're still staying on top of it, but I'm not like double like whamming them with the same thing. It's just a snippet that takes them to the full thing, or vice versa. So I always also tell people that your LinkedIn connections are different from your email subscribers. So you could, whatever newsletter you're currently sending your entire email list through MailerLite right now, you could send that whole thing out and still say, hey, join the conversation on LinkedIn, and they could subscribe there. They're not going to get hit both, because you're looking to grow both lists simultaneously. So they really intermingle very, very well. And it's a great way to obviously build your email list on and off the platform.
Well, because I would say it sounds like you are then prioritizing the newsletter on LinkedIn over the emails you're sending with your email service provider, because LinkedIn is so valuable to you.
Correct. Friday, I do what is called a recap email. So I have a podcast. I do 2 episodes per week. So they come out on Mondays and Thursdays. So every Friday, my list already knows they're going to get, what did you miss this week? Right? So they're going to get, what did you miss? Here's what you missed from everything about LinkedIn, podcast, and training. So I always do 2 LinkedIn Lives, Mondays and Thursdays. I do 2 podcasts, Mondays and Thursdays. And then my newsletter comes out very early in the morning on Friday. So I usually send this about an hour after the newsletter comes out. So the link is in there. They can read it. So basically, it's just a recap of the week. So everything is kind of themed out, because again, there's so much relevant information in there. If they didn't miss any of the podcast episodes, they can go back and listen. If they missed one of my LinkedIn Live trainings, they can go back, because not everyone. Yes, yeah. I have almost 35,000 followers on LinkedIn, but they're not all seeing my content. A very small percentage does. So
and they're
I want
not
to make
like
sure
obsessed with you like you think they are.
They're not. They're more concerned about themselves than me. But if I can stay in front of them as easy as possible, that's going to also bring them back to wherever I want to bring them to. But just so the audience knows, whether someone is clicking on one of the links to listen to the podcast, whether someone is clicking on one of the links to watch the LinkedIn Lives, or if someone is clicking on the link to go back to the newsletter, the same call to action is found in every single one of those actions. So whatever is being promoted, you'll find that in both episodes of the podcast, both LinkedIn Lives, and at the bottom of that LinkedIn newsletter. So it's not going to be kind of messy where they're like, he's talking about opting in for this here and that there. It's the same call to action across the board. So it's completely streamlined, because I want to funnel people into the same decision that I want them to make, whatever it may be at that time, which brings me to the third thing that I wanted to talk about, which is LinkedIn Live. So LinkedIn Live is another creator tool that you can have on LinkedIn. So there's 2 creator tools. There were 3. Audio Rooms was one. That was LinkedIn's competitive product to Clubhouse when Clubhouse got really big, but they shut down Audio Rooms. So now it's just LinkedIn newsletters and LinkedIn Live. Now you can do a LinkedIn Live event or a pop-up LinkedIn Live. I always suggest doing a pop-up LinkedIn Live. So let me kind of break it down. You can do it through Riverside. You can do it through Restream. You can do it through StreamYard. StreamYard is my preference. I've been using it for 4 years. It's very easy. I always like to pre-record, and then you can schedule the stream to go live, which is great because you can work smarter, not harder. But here's the beautiful thing about it. If you're consistent, I go live every Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern every week for the last 3 years. So my audience knows that at some point on Monday and Thursday, they can go on because they know at least 10 o'clock on, there'll be a training. Just like I said in the podcast where the emails that I send out, I have the same call to action in the LinkedIn Live itself. So as I'm doing the LinkedIn Live,
You're saying it or you're putting it in a
I'm
comment?
saying it. I'm saying it. So like, so I'll jump on and I'll be like, because I use my LinkedIn Live as my podcast episode as well. So I always say, you know, I don't like say welcome to another episode. I'll say, so what I wanted to talk about today is something blah 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 blah. Now, if you're listening on the podcast and you're interested in signing up for our next free workshop, you don't have to go too far. Just go to the description of the episode, click the link, get yourself registered. If you happen to be watching on social, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, all you have to do is type the word workshop in the comments. And after we're done today, I'll go back and I'll drop the link so you can get registered for free. So without fail, I'll stream the live and I'll check back later that day and there'll be 3, 4, 5 comments that all say workshop, 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 which means I'll send them the link, they get registered, and now I've converted those people from followers and connections on LinkedIn into email subscribers. So it's a great way to convert. Those 3 ways are the main 3 ways of how you want to do it.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. How, and again, are these trainings that you do Mondays and Thursdays, are they about a half an hour? Is there a sweet spot?
So I'm always cognizant of people's time. It's the most valuable commodity we can give and receive. Now, I used to do very long trainings. I used to do 25, 30 minutes. I've been keeping it now to about 12 to 16 minutes. I'm on there. I keep it short, sweet, to the point. I get right to it. I don't blab on. I give them the tangible things they need to do. I'll even share screen because I love being able to do that to give people visuals. What I did on Thursday of last week, to give you an example, I showed my audience how they can use ChatGPT to create content for LinkedIn. And as you and I were kind of talking in the pre-show, my wife and I have a community called the Expert Content Society, which gives people 24 personalized ChatGPT prompts to create LinkedIn content. So I was actually giving them a visual of what these prompts do. So I went on, I clicked the prompt, I hit get started, and I basically was answering the questions as the prompts were coming up. And I showed them at the end how it creates your content. So I gave the visual aid. Now I'm also very cognizant that I'm using this for my podcast. So I'm describing to my audience what I'm doing that are listening on the podcast as well. So here's the question the prompt just asked me, and here's what I'm answering it with. And I kind of verbalize it that way. So I keep it anywhere between 12 to 16 minutes. That one in particular, I went a little bit longer. It was like 20 minutes, but that is the absolute longest I will go. Now, if you're doing a LinkedIn Live event, like a monthly event where you're going to be training on something and you have PowerPoint document slides or what have you, that's when I would recommend maybe a 30-minute, because that's like a really deep training that you're inviting a bunch of people to, which we could talk about another time. But if it's a pop-up LinkedIn Live, keep it to 12 to 16 minutes, somewhere in that range.
And then are you taking this video, putting it on YouTube, putting clips of it on Reels? Like how are you then repurposing these trainings that you're doing on StreamYard?
So here's my process after I'm done doing the recording. So I always do it in record mode. After I record it, I then schedule it as a LinkedIn Live. So I did this last night. So at the time that we're recording this, it's a Monday. Sunday is when I do this. So I jumped onto StreamYard. I recorded it. After it was done and it uploaded, I scheduled it to go out as a live stream the next day at 10 a.m. I then downloaded the video, the MP4, to my computer, went on to Riverside, which is for Spotify for podcasters, which my podcast is housed. And I then scheduled the podcast episode to go out this morning at 5 a.m. I also dropped the video onto my YouTube channel, which will be scheduled to go out a week later. And then obviously I also dropped it into something called Opus Pro, which helps break up the videos into multiple clips. Once that's done, I will then take a clip, and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you'll see a short video reel go out on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn company pages, and YouTube Shorts.
Wow, that is a wonderful process. Like, I'm going to go back, and when I get the transcript of this episode, go, here's how he does it. That is fantastic.
And it's one piece of content becomes 84 other pieces. So people think that you have to create new content every day. And going back to something that you and I just talked about before, 1 to 3% of your network actually sees your stuff. So there's 99 to 97% don't. And my wife and I say this, and we stand by it. You could post the same thing every day for 6 months and people would not know the difference because it's hitting different eyeballs every single day.
I think that is so true. You have shared so much. Scott, if people want after they hear this and they go, oh my God, mind blown. Where should they connect with you? And I'm assuming you're going to say LinkedIn.
I am going to say LinkedIn. So if you go on there, just type in Scott Aaron Coach or Scott Aaron, you'll see me pop up, and send me a follow, send me a connection. And like I said, subscribe to the newsletter. Every Friday, a new edition comes out. And also, I mentioned every Monday and Thursday, you get a LinkedIn live training from me just to kind of educate and inform you on any new updates, new analytic tools, new products, new services that LinkedIn is providing to make sure that you're having the best experience possible on the platform.
Well, honestly, you are, as I had shared at the beginning, you're the second person who's come on my podcast in the last month and said, if you are not using LinkedIn to grow your business and you're still in this model of Instagram, you are missing out.
Yeah, and I wrote a book. I've written a bunch of LinkedIn books. The most recent one came out back in 2022 called The LinkedIn Book for Sales and Marketing. It's still very up to date. I have a new edition coming out later this year. So you can find any of those books on Amazon as well.
Awesome. Well, I have to say, I have really enjoyed this conversation, and I feel like you've been so enlightening to my audience. So, Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, Jillian, I appreciate you very much, and obviously grateful for the opportunity.
I hope you guys like this episode. For me, my biggest takeaway from Scott is this. LinkedIn isn't just for corporate types. It's a goldmine for coaches, bloggers, and creators who want to position themselves as experts and grow their businesses. Also, if you want to start selling digital products effortlessly but don't know where to start, no problem. Grab my one AI prompt that will give you 10 awesome digital products to launch this week. So you can grab that at milotree.com/thisweek. Then sign up for MiloTree's free forever plan to start selling digital products and offering freebies without any tech headaches. If you think a friend would benefit from this episode, please share it. And if you're enjoying the podcast, make sure to subscribe, especially on YouTube. Just search MiloTree, where I have been showing up a lot. And this way, you'll never miss an episode. And I will see you here again next